I hope you guys were paying attention last week whenever I told you that this was the show to watch. This is the show to watch. I'm telling you, this is some good shit here. Really good shit. I'm telling you.
And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to pull my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie?
Okay, so this is American Crime Season 2. This is Episode 2. I've been so excited all week waiting for this to, get back around so I can actually get back and see what was actually going on. It really engrossed me and got me all trapped in on the first episode. And this second episode did not disappoint. Trust me. This is good shit. Anyway, so when we left off, Taylor's mother had just placed her phone call to the authorities. She dialed 911 on their asses and said, hey, my son's been raped. Period, point blank, let's get it. So when we come in this week, we actually see her. She's sitting down with police officers at a motel. And she's there. Taylor is actually off into a room. So he's not, he's not to the point where he wants to talk. And you kind of can understand it. He has a lot going on at this point, so he doesn't really want to talk. She's talking to the police, and they tell her basically, everything works a lot easier if he's willing to speak with us. And she's like, I understand that, but it is what it is. She's not trying to push Taylor right now. But they asked her, did you get a rape kit done? That's your next step. You need to take him to have a rape kit done. And she says, okay, no problem. And she actually goes ahead and basically gets to that. And I know that's a whole ball of wax, that whole getting the rape kit done and all that. It's really, really rough for a woman to even go through. So to actually have a young boy have to go through it as well. Yeah, this is really, all of this stuff is just so damn touchy. It's so touchy, and that's what really just pulls me in, because it's so touchy. So anyway, next thing we actually see, there's this rally that's actually going on. It's this meeting, and you get to see how the neighborhood pretty much views the school. They view the school, and people were speaking, they view the school as a school of entitlement for entitled children that are brats, pretty much. This is how they view them. And the board is actually, the school board is actually there, and they just have such an attitude about it and all of that. So they have the rally. It's actually $20,000 a year to have your kid go there. So yeah, it's rough. But anyway, so we see the headmaster, Felicity Huffman. She's actually meeting, she's talking to the board themselves, and they're so damn arrogant. They are so damn arrogant. And they were talking about, the regular, townspeople, like, oh, they're idiots and this, that, thing, and the other. And I'm like, all you're doing is proving that they're right. I mean, they're right. It's a school of entitlement, and even the staff is a staff that is entitled, So it's just a mess. You can see that it showed the dynamic of the push and the pull between the neighborhood and that school. So it's like, a mess. So she was actually saying to the one guy who was the last one left, he's somebody higher up in the board, and she says, this little situation is going on. She didn't really go all into it, but she said, we're going to have to lean on the facts and not focus on the rumors, because the rumors with this whole situation can be really ugly. So we're going to lean on the facts. It's like, all right. So I'm like, all right. So I'm still mad with Felicity because I see what you're doing and it's stinky and bitchy, but it's, you know, for the greater good of the side of it that she stands on, I guess. Whatever. Played it perfectly because I was pissed off at her when that scene went off. We go to the next day where the rape kit is actually being done, and we hear the doctor talking to Taylor. Taylor's laying on the table, and first they end up sitting up there explaining them what they're going to do, and they're preparing the swabs and all this stuff, and you can see the angst because I was sitting here and the angst was just building up, and I'm like, oh my god, I know how he feels. This is horrible. It's just I'm not even getting ready to go into all that, but it was, just the angst of actually being in the hospital and something you've never gone through, and then basically getting ready to sit there and bare your soul to these people that you don't even know. It's a mess. But anyway, so he was literally, you could see on his face, he was mortified. He was mortified. And then as they're doing it, and especially when they get to the part where they're actually examining his rectum, he's like having like flashbacks, and I think he's remembering a little more than what he wants to remember, and you could just kind of see he has this internal struggle going on. And that's why I said he's really a good actor, but he has a little internal struggle going on. The next thing they say to his mother, you must have him go through an HIV screening. Well, that pulled up a whole new piece of angst for her because she's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And this kind of thing. They're like, no, you got to go do it. You have to do it. He needs an HIV screen because, there's no telling what he may have contracted with this situation. They asked her, did she have his clothing? And she said she washed clothes, but she don't think those clothes were in there. They said, that's fine. Take those clothes, put them into a paper bag, and you want to give those to the detective that's actually handling things. And they asked her, have you even actually spoken to a detective? And she's like, well, no. And they said, no. You need to be dealing with a detective, not just regular police officers. You need to be dealing with a detective. A detective needs to be on this. So, again, she's learning as she goes. Because, again, if you've never really had to deal with the legal system, you really don't know the ins and outs. And that's a lot of times how they get over on people, especially with shit like this. So, she's running into, see, I'm going to get too deep, but that's kind of how, when they say, you hear the saying, God takes care of babies and fools, and God will line you up with the people you need to run into. It's kind of, I don't even know if they even thought that out, but this is what I saw. I said she's being lined up with some of the people that she needs to be lined up with at this early time before she can really get screwed, because I get the feeling that school and Felicity Huffman and all her little cronies, they will screw her. They will go with what they know that she doesn't know and use it against her. We've already seen the proof of that. So she's being lined up to do the right thing. So I was glad to see that happen. And I think I just got a little too deep, but whatever. This is real life. This what's so good about this. This is good shit. Anyway, so next thing we see is Regina King. And she's actually on her way to work, and she has a slight fender bender. There's a Caucasian male who literally, she was getting ready to make a right turn. He's coming this way on her left, coming toward her, and he cut her off. He literally cut her off, went in front of her, almost caused a real bad accident, and she stopped. And you could tell these type of things aren't, they live in that area. And it's sad to say, but in that area, he felt like, well, whatever, in the hell with you. By the time she, because she was startled, she stopped her car. By the time she goes to pull around the corner and go around him, this fool is out of his car. And he's banging on her car and yelling and screaming, you didn't see me, this, that, the other. Excuse me, honey, you were making a left turn. You're making a left turn over top of my right turn. I ain't even supposed to be looking for you. So she literally had already taken out her cell phone and had started filming, and she got his license plate as well as him acting a damn fool. As soon as she got into her office, she made a phone call to someone that she knew personally, because they were like, oh, hey, call her by name, this, that, thing, and the other. And she told him, I had a little fender bender, this, that, and the other. I filmed it. Can you take care of it? And he's like, for you, Yeah, I'll take care of it. So it's that thing. When you look at Regina King's character, she is a bitch. Don't get it twisted. She's a bitch. She's a bitch, but she knows what part of the lane she plays. She knows what part of the lane she's actually standing in, and she also knows where her position. She knows that she has a little better treatment than some other African American woman would have, and she uses it to her advantage. She's a bitch. Okay. Whereas in another instance, another black woman probably would have been like, "Oh, the hell with it. He didn't hit me. He didn't mess up the car. The hell with it." Mm-mm. She politely and forwarded that video, and he reassured her that the shit would be taken care of, and we were left as the viewers to know, yeah, shit's going to be taken care of, just as if she was a white woman because it was her. And I said, okay, all right, is it fair? Is it right? Is anything? Nobody ever said life is fair. But this is building who her character is. But know that in these two little episodes we've learned Regina King, her character, she is a bitch. And she uses everything that she has to get whatever it is that she wants. We see that about her already. So she's gonna be very interesting to watch. Moving on. Okay, so the little dark haired child, his name is Eric. Okay. Eric, we see him actually being dropped off at what appears to be a halfway point. Their mother's dropping them off to their father, and they are pretty estranged. They've been divorced, and that whole thing, we pick up on that. We also found out Eric is one of the team captains. There are two team captains for the basketball team for their school. One is Eric, the other one is Kevin, which is Regina King's son. So they both are team captains. Okay, so we're starting to see the dynamic because Eric has a brother. So there's two of them. And we see them playing basketball with their dad. And the dad is talking because, again, he's out of the home, outside of home. So he's having a talk with his boys about hygiene. And most especially Eric. So I don't know if Eric was staying or I don't know, but whatever. His dad was having a hygiene talk and saying, no girl's going to want to get with you if you're not, smelling right and this, that, and the other. And they're steadily, they're playing basketball at the same time. And he's like, do we have to talk about this? That whole kind of thing. But that's always adolescence and that kind of stuff and hygiene. Yeah, it's touchy. But anyway, you got to do it. You got to do it. So, something that struck me. He says, the dad was actually throwing out some things to use, and he was saying about body sprays and stuff. And Eric said, I don't want to go around smelling like a little bitch. So, of course, that struck a chord with me. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Because I already thought that Eric is a little suspect. Okay, for lack of better words. So I said, what's really going on? I'm sensing some type of an internal struggle. Hold on to that. And we're going to talk about that more later on in this review. Okay, we're going to talk about that more. Okay, so the next thing that goes on is Felicity Huffman actually says she has another talk with the coach. And she's telling the coach, we got to make good, basically, is what she was doing. We got to make good. We have to do some disciplinary to cover our backs. We have to show documentation of some discipline. So we're going to have to take and do something disciplinary against just one person from the team. And the coach is still standing with, my boys didn't do anything wrong. My boys didn't do nothing wrong. This, that, thing, and the other. He's real hard ass with it. And she's saying, listen, it needs to be done. I need some disciplinary act done. And it has to be against one of these members of this team. And it cannot be Kevin. Because I don't think we want to get into anything with the LaCroix family. Felicity Huffman is a bitch as well. Okay, Felicity Huffman knows her position and she plays her position and she plays the hell out of it. You understand me? She knows good and well. She already got it all figured out that Regina King is a black bitch that ain't gonna sit down and take the bullshit. So we're not going to even fuck with Kevin. We're going to move on. We're going to find somebody else. Well, what was decided was that Kevin would not be bothered, but Eric would actually be sat on the bench for one game. So when the coach brought Eric in, Eric was like pissed. He was pissed. And he says, why me and not Kevin? And the coach is like, it's one game. Just do it. It's one game. And at first I said, well, Eric's being like this because, one, he's a klutz anyway. And it's already evident that naturally the coach would lean more toward Kevin than him because Kevin's one of their star players. So that was that. He was really pissed about that. But then we actually see a scene after that where Kevin and Eric actually meet and they're sitting outside on it. Eric's sitting outside on the bench and he's got a real worried look on his face and everything. And then he's telling Kevin, I think that little bitch said something, this, that, thing, and the other. And I'm saying, what are you talking about? That little bitch that said something, this thing is that thing and the other. And Kevin's like, no, that's not it. You're jumping the gun. You're doing too much. Don't worry about it. I got your back. He's like, oh, you got my back. I got your back. Don't worry about it. He's not even in school. So then I'm like, oh, shit. They're talking about Taylor. Because remember, Taylor hasn't been back to school. So they're talking about Taylor and worried about Taylor talking. So there's obviously more to this that we don't know about. We know something happened to Taylor, but now we're getting to see that it has something to do with Mr. Eric, and Kevin knows exactly what it is. So I said, oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. So we got all that going on. Just hold with me and we're going to move forward because there's some more about that. We're going to talk about more about Mr. Eric in just a minute. All right, guys. Okay. All right, guys. So after this, we see we flipped over. Now we're at a different school. We're actually at Evie's school. Okay. You remember Evie is a very good friend of Taylor's. And we see her there. There's a little African American little guy, little cute little guy, and he's up in her face and he's, trying to kick game to her, laughing and key and they're talking and she's, sucking it up. She's all in. And then there's this other little guy, little Hispanic guy, real cute, named Mateo. Mateo rolls up on some old bullshit and telling the guy, you get out of her face and get with your own. And I'm like, what was that all about? So then the principal of the school actually comes and he basically breaks that little situation up because they were right up in each other's neck. And he sent them both to class where they're going. And then told Evie, I want you to be careful of your involvement in these hallways. You okay? Everything's cool? Them or just boys being boys? All right, go on to class. So I was like, okay. And she kind of looking at him like, mm-hmm. And I said, I said to myself then when I was watching, there's more to that I'm sure is going to be revealed. And I was right. Then we actually see them having pretty much like a town hall meeting. Well, not a town hall meeting. I'm sorry, a board meeting. And there is at that school as well. There's some racial tension, but in that school, the racial tension is basically between the blacks and the Hispanics. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me because I've already told you all how I feel about that. It's like a child. African Americans and Hispanics do not need to be battling with each other, honey, because when it comes to the them versus us, child, y'all part of the us, honey. So just stop it. Stop it, child. We're all colored people, honey. Stop that. Stop that. Those are our brothers and sisters. Stop that. Anyway, and I don't have problems with the whole thing. I don't have a problem with Caucasian folks. I love everything that loves me back. But when it comes to colored people, in my eyes, child, Hispanics, child, you're part of the us, baby. Child. I'm sorry if you don't see it that way, but in the real world, you're part of the us. Anyway, moving on. That's me and my own personal shit, but moving on. So I was like, wow, that's deep. That's really deep. So there was actually, there was like things that were said, like when the Hispanic woman said little brown kids. I was like, baby, you're a little brown kid too. What are you talking about? Whatever. But it's there. And you could tell that there's some situation where the principal is actually having to deal with that. Blacks versus Hispanics. Ridiculous. That is just ridiculous to me. But anyway. So I had already told you all about the whole little thing with, and I'm jumping ahead here because where we were talking about the whole little thing with Taylor and his mother and Evie, and where I think that, Evie, the mother feels like they're a little couple. Well, basically, we find out later, they are a couple. He is Evie's boyfriend. Okay, the two of them later in the episode have a little scene where they're sitting down. He's mad at her about even sharing the pictures with his mother, and she tells him, your mother already knew. She kept calling me, and this, that, thing, the other. She told her his position. He basically let her know that he forgave her, and they're sitting on the bench, and they're just kind of like sitting, and she's sitting on his side, and they're like hugged up a little bit, and then you actually see her lean in for a kiss, and they kiss, and it was a very awkward moment because it's exactly like I said. It's very awkward because Taylor's gay. We just ain't got to it yet, but I'm telling you, coming from my gay ass, Taylor's gay, and Evie was definitely the aggressor. He was definitely just going through the motions. You know what I mean? And I'm like, honey, I see you. And I said, acting, bam, dead on. The scene was done excellent, but that's it. Taylor is one of the children, honey, and it'll come out later, I'm sure. Just keep watching. But I'm telling you, I know the children when I see them, but it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to watch, and I think that's what it was supposed to portray, but it was uncomfortable. She's the aggressor. Child, she just don't know he's her good girlfriend, or, but he is. That's going to be our good Judy before it's all over with. But anyway, moving on. So the next thing we actually see Kevin having a run-in with his mom. And Miss Regina King is carrying on, baby. He done went and bought a $900 bracelet and gave to the little girl. Remember when they had the argument last episode? Had a little argument, so he gonna go make it up to her. He bought her a $900 bracelet. Mama done found the receipt. He's standing by the whole thing, and well, that $900 is really nothing. That's $900, and she's giving, listen, she not worth no $900 gift. I don't give a goddamn how mad she was. I'm paraphrasing. But told her, do her family have any money? Because there's these hoes running around, and she was putting him down with game, and she was not holding anything back. I told you she's a bitch. She wasn't holding nothing back. She's like, they're going to try to get with you because you got skills and we got money. They're going to try to get you and try to give you a baby. She asked him, are you screwing her? And he's like, please don't say it. Like, made her very uncomfortable. She's like, whatever, call her whatever you want. You need not be fucking her. That's going to be a problem. And they went through all of that. And this is the part that I said, oh, Regina King, you rotten whore. She said, go get it. They were done. She said, go get it back. Go get the bracelet back. He's like, but Mom, I already gave it to her. Yeah, you did. She said, you say she's nice? Whatever. Do you think I'm stupid? She said, I hope you're not stupid, but some of these girls are going to hope that you are stupid. Go get the bracelet. And if you don't go get it, then I'll go over to her house with the police and I'll get it because as far as I'm concerned, she stole it. I said, oh, Miss Regina, bitch, stone cold bitch. And she meant that shit, and Kevin knew it. Because later on, we see Kevin standing at the little girl's house, and the little girl's looking at him, and then she walks off and gets the bracelet, comes back, baby, and she gives him the bracelet, and he grabs her arm to try to, I guess he told her the position he's in. Baby, she didn't care about that. And this little girl, I think she's innocent because I don't think she's a gold digger too much. It was kind of weird. It was a toss up. Baby, she bammed him a couple times, and then she cracked him. She slapped the shit out of his face. She crashed his ass, his head hit up against because he's tall. He's a cute little thing. He's just as tall as he can be. He's a basketball player. She bammed his ass, his head hit the damn chandelier and made the chandelier swing. She knocked the fucking shit out of him, which is something I would have did too. You coming back to take back a gift you gave me because you screwed up. Trying to get my pussy before I'm ready to give it to you. Child, I messed, but he got that bracelet back because he knew good old Mama Bear wasn't having it. I messed. So, in the next scene, we actually see Felicity Huffman, and she's actually meeting with some colleague of hers that is actually, he's a higher power person, and she's trying to give him the speech and trying to get $1 million donation from him in exchange for putting his name on a building and all of this. And he really was like, whatever. He wasn't falling for the politics of it or any of that. He told her, child, again, that school is for entitlement. I ain't really down with it. Don't care nothing about it. I went to public school. So me giving you $1 million, acting like I really am into that, I ain't even into that. I'm cool with you, but I ain't into that shit that you got going on. And she's like, just think about it. She's doing her job. She's trying to rally this money. So as soon as he left, she's like, son of a bitch. And then you see it's flip over to a scene where her husband is actually talking to her. And we found her husband doesn't really have a lot of respect for what it is she does either. She actually came from the public school system. So her husband's like, he's not even bought in. He really wants to move and them have, a decent job. They talked about New York. She talked about New York. And you could just see his disdain, and them talk. He's in the bedroom, sitting on the bed, and she's in the bathroom brushing her teeth. And he's like, kind of like chopping her off a little bit in the conversation. So she ends up coming out and everything. And, she kind of straddled him on the bed and she's, saying, are we going to be okay through the year? You could tell she's a little worried about her relationship and where her relationship is going, in essence, with her job and what she does from day to day. And he reassured her, that I'm not going anywhere. We're good. So that was cool. So again, we're getting to see some of her personal struggle. She knows her lane so well because she's not from that world originally. She's not from that world and doesn't seem she even lives in that world. Her husband's like, whatever, bullshit. So moving on, that's very interesting as well. Then sheep in wolves clothing. But so we see Coach Dan, and he's actually together with we're just gonna call her his stepdaughter, because I don't think that, like I told y'all, she's not his daughter, and the mother and him are not married. I don't get that at all. I don't get that they're married. I think they just literally date. But she had asked, remember last episode, she asked him to talk to the daughter about the boys and all that. So he did. He sat down and he talked to them. Talked to her about the boys and the birds and the bees and all that good shit. And she is just a flippant little rich brat. Okay? Her attitude was very flippant. She basically did kind of lead on that she hasn't had sex, but she knows everything about it. And I've talked to people who have done it, and this, that, thing, and the other. And he told her about, the pictures. He's like, you don't want this kind of thing to happen. Think about the pictures. Little flippant girl's like, oh, yeah, it's the pictures and whatever. And, he got drunk. Like, it's no big deal. So, that's kind of how the kids are, which is kind of a good thing. So she's like, he got drunk, whatever. He's like, no, that's a big deal. And then he made the statement, he's a dumbass and his life is ruined. Okay? That's just at the fact that the pictures being out there. That's just where his mind is. I told you I don't like his ass. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. But anyway. So, yeah, I don't like him. Moving on. Next, we actually see Taylor's mother actually at a therapist. She's at a therapist's office and she's talking to the therapist. And he was advising her maybe you should not push on Taylor until you're sure Taylor is ready to talk. There's some time, it is time sensitive, but it could just really go badly if he's not willing to talk and he's being forced into it. So they go through all of that. And then he questioned her about her mental state. And again, my ears went up. I'm like, what's going on? I'm believing that there's been some type of a mental breakdown that she suffered somewhere previously. I could be wrong, and remember, I'm just speculating here, guys, but I'm seeing something here with her. Because I looked at her, she don't look the most stable. She has a kind of a wild look to her, you know what I mean? Yeah, like she ain't really all there, and not real strong. So I'm thinking that she's had some issues of her own, is what they're leading us to believe. And I said, okay, cool. So we're gonna keep an eye on that too. So, all right. The next thing that we actually see here is, this is a big one. I told you I was going to talk about Mr. Eric, the little dark-haired fella. We see him out meeting up with this older guy, cute guy, comes and he has like a little sports car, and he comes with the car, and he's, they're chatting it up, and then he's like, he let him drive the car, and he drives the car, and then they park later on, and you see him, the guy is actually seducing Eric. And they're like kissing, and then there's like this heavy petting session going on, and Eric stops him. He stops him, and he says, I don't like it like that. I don't like it like that, because he's coming on too strong. He basically stated to him, I just want the kissing. So he just wanted to kiss. So that, he was doing too much. It was like a really heavy petting and groping session that was going on. He was all down up in the meat, y'all. So I said, okay, older man, young, again, and that happens in basically that homosexual thing. It happens with that older person on that younger person. I don't like it, but that's just the reality. So, like I said, Mr. Eric is suspect. Mr. Eric got some things going on. He got some internal struggles going on. He's not totally comfortable with what he is and who he is. And basically, I don't know what went on with him and Taylor. We will find that out later, I guess. But I see that there's somebody that's basically, he was taking him too fast, too far, and luring him in with things. He's luring him in with things. And then the guy, which was a good thing, he did back off. But again, you're too old, because he's only 17. You ain't got no business messing with him. That's why y'all sneaking to meet up. So no, I ain't a fan of that. But know that in the homosexual world, it does happen. It happens. And it really is no different, because we got girls, same thing, 17 years old dating guys that are 20 and stuff like that. Sometimes these people are actually in school together, because you figure if you're a freshman and you're dating a senior, y'all about damn near 4 years apart already. So when he graduate, he gonna be 20 before you ever get to be a senior. So it happens, but it just was disturbing. It was disturbing to watch. I didn't like it. But anyway. Okay, so the last thing that we actually see Taylor's mom. She's online, and you can see Taylor's still very uncomfortable with things and all of that. So she ends up talking she goes online and she ends up meeting up with this journalist, and she's actually speaking with her and telling her about how the authorities are doing, like everybody is trying to flip it and like put it back, like the blame back on Taylor and Taylor's actions, which is classic for rape. It's always the thing of when you get to court, they're always going to try to put it back on behavior of the victim. And we know that. But this thing, with this being a boy, it's like 10 times amplified. They keep trying to push it back toward Taylor. And the mother's seeing that she's getting tired already real fast. So she seeked this woman. The woman and her met up, and they're talking. So the woman was giving her the warning, once I do this, if we go public with this, she said, I just don't want my son's name used. And she's like, well, listen, with the way all this is going down, I have to warn you, it's not very hard to put these pieces together. You know what I mean? So, do you really want to go forward with this? Because it's not going to be hard to put the puzzle together that this is actually him or could be him, you know? And the mother thought about it for a minute and she's just tired of the bullshit. And she told her, yeah, I'm ready to go through with it. And that's where we ended. I told y'all, this is so good. So, so good. So, this is where we are. Um, I'm at that position again now. I can't wait until the next goddamn Wednesday. So, whatever. This is where we are. Man, this is a good show. All right, guys. I hope I did this review some justice for you. If you have not really started watching and paying attention, start watching and paying attention. If you're just tuning in for this review and have not watched the first, go back and watch the first episode. It is available on demand as well. Go back, get yourself all caught up, or go. You know, you can go back and watch my review, but I prefer you watch the show and then watch my review as well. So if you see something that I missed, put it down in the comments because that's what we do here on this channel. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You know how that all works. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. See you guys. Bye.